Hi everyone, welcome to CrochetRocks. I'm going to today show you how to make this wrap that I've been promising to do for quite some time. I haven't put a border on it yet, so part 2 will be showing you how to do the border. So this is a fairly simple stitch and it's suitable definitely for a beginner. It's the modern V-stitch, and so it's not quite as open as the traditional V-stitch, but it's simple to do. So I'm making this, it's kind of this way round. This was if this was the bottom, this would be my foundation chain, and I'm working upwards. So from the shoulders down your back, it's this way. And then obviously you can carry on, go in and go in and go in until it's your desired length. That way you don't have to make this according to my dimensions. If you're got a longer broader back or a longer arm span, etc., you can make this to fit yourself. You don't have to worry about whether your measurements are the same as my measurements. So I was initially going to make a pocket shawl, and once I started I found it was a little bit too soft, and I just wanted to make a wrap with it, so I undid it, made it slightly wider, and so I'll tell you the dimensions before I do anything else. This way, so not the big long length, but from the back of your neck down your back. Before I put the border on, this is 17 inches wide or 43 centimeters. So lengthwise, obviously, which is kind of width if you're looking at it as a wrap, but the long length of our work is 59 inches or roughly 150 centimeters. But as I say, you just can carry on making your rows until you maybe need less than me, or you may need more. So that's quite simple. Now the yarn that I've used, I absolutely love this yarn. It's one of my favorites. It is the James C. Brett Northern Lights, and I've got it in this beautiful pink colour, which is shade NL08. So it is premium acrylic, 95% premium acrylic and 5% viscose. There's 450 meters or 492 yards, and I believe it's taken me 2. I would have 3. That way you will definitely have enough for your border, and you're not going to have run out of yarn or anything. So that's what I've used, and I'm also recommending a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook for the work, but for the foundation chain a 5.5 millimeter, because this stitch does tend to, if you haven't done that, it won't be it'll bunch, if you know what I mean. You really need quite a loose foundation chain. I love this kind of knobbly tatty vibe that this yarn's got. It's just lovely. But I made mine super loose because I'm kind of used to doing that. But I would recommend a one size, whole size, not half. So if you've got a 5.5, you're using a 4.5, so you'll need a 5.5, that sort of thing. So right, I'm going to put all this stuff away and get it all ready and come back and show you how to do this. Okay, so you'll need a tape measure. I didn't actually use this one. I used the free one that I recently got in my knit crate box, but as long as it goes up to the right size, then you're all fine. You'll need some darning needles. There's not a great deal of ends to work in, which is music to my ears because I'm not keen on it, but there's only a few, so that's fine. You'll also need a pair of scissors. So I'm starting off with my 5.5, and just going to start with a slip knot, which you can make however you normally do. So you've got your slip knot, and we're going to do a chain of 64 chains, and I'll show you slowly how to do a chain. You yarn around the hook and you pull through the loop on your hook. So we yarn over and we pull through, that loop, yarn over and pull through that loop. I love the way this yarn works up. It's just really lovely. So that's 4 and I need 60 more. So it will be a little bit boring for you to watch me do another 60 of those. And also if I'm counting out loud, it can be distracting. So I'm going to pause it and I'll come back to you once I've got 64. Okay, so I've got 64 stitches. Now might be a good time to mention, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you wouldn't mind, there's a little doodah along here somewhere. If you just hit that and hit the bell, you'll be informed when there are new videos as well. So just one thing I wanted to tell you that I didn't actually mention, that for my length, which was 59 inches or 150 centimetres long, that equated to 114 rows for me. But just keep an eye on your measurements and make sure that it's actually, put it around yourself so that you know that it's actually fitting you. So right, what we're going to do now is we are going to do a UK treble. No, we're going to change our hook first. I nearly forgot. That's the only trouble. So I'm going to use my 4.5mm hook now. Popping that in. Almost. So now we're going to do a UK treble crochet, which is a US double crochet. And we're going to do that in the 4th chain from the hook. So there's my 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So we're going into this one. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to go into this stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we'll have 3 on our hook. And we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. It's really difficult when you're trying to show someone with the camera in the way. Didn't go quite according to plan, so I'm going to do that again. Yarn over into the stitch, yarn over and pull up the loop. Hold on to it there and you can see it. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now I'm going to do another one in the same place. So yarn over, back in to that stitch, yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We're not going to chain, but we are going to skip 1 and we're going to go into the next one and do another 2 in this one here. So there's one. It is difficult to see on this yarn. It kind of has this rope look about it, but when you get going, it is absolutely lovely. I just love the way it works up. So we're going to do 2 in that stitch. Maybe harder to see with this yarn though. Where your stitch is at. So there we go. This is what it's looking like. We've got our first modern V there, and this will now be our end. Skip 1, so we can just see there's the one there. I'm going to skip that and hold this in my fingers so you can see. And I'm going to do 2 in the next one. And believe it or not, that is as simple as it gets. I like this stitch. I like the way it looks, but it is extremely easy. Definitely suitable for a beginner. So that's how it's looking. And because we used that larger hook to do the chain, we haven't got any pulling. Which can sometimes happen with the modern V-stitch on that foundation chain. So you do need to kind of do it loose, and if you can judge it, that's great. But I just wanted to show you how it looks if you do it with the larger hook. You haven't got to worry about whether your tension's right then or not. So basically, we are just going to go all the way along, skipping 1 chain and going in the next one. Skip that one and go into the next one. We're going to do that all the way along until we get to the end. Okay, so I've got a fair way to go still. I'm going to pause it and I will meet up with you when I get right to the end, and I'll show you what to do once we get there. Okay, so I'm nearly at the end. I've got to skip 1 and do my last V in this stitch here, and then I'm left with 2 at the end, and I'm going to skip one and just do one single UK treble or US double in that end stitch there. And then we're going to turn. So now this is what we've got. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 chain. Now some people will tell you to do 3 chain when they're turning. I don't like 3 chain. It always seems to have a little curve like this, which shouldn't be there. So now it's really simple, because the hardest row is this first row going into quite baggy chains. But now all we're going to do is going to go in between our twos, all our 2 stitches, and we're going to do 2 in between each one. So we're just going to go right into the center of it, and we're going to do 2 UK trebles or US doubles. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to chain. We're going to go straight in between the next one and do our 2. And carry on in between each of our pairs. If I go too fast, then just pause it and catch up with me. So that's all we're doing. And as you can see, it pulls them apart and makes that little V. If you were to do a traditional V-stitch, it would be 1 chain in between them. So you'd do 1 UK treble, 1 chain, and then another. So like this, I'll show you. This is the traditional way of doing a V-stitch. And what it does, it makes it quite open. But I quite like the look you get when you just open it by putting the stitches between it. Opens it just enough without being overly holey. But if you wanted it more lacy, then you could do it that way. Just yarn's getting a little tight, need to pull some out. So that is basically our repeat there. Whoops, sorry. That's all we're going to do, is go in between each of our pairs with another 2 all the way to the end. So I'm going to pause it and I'll catch up with you when we get to the end, and I'll show you what we do then. Before we do, I just wanted to show you, this is a roving yarn, so at places it will become quite thin and it'll have this kind of cord-like feel to it. But I really like that. That's one of the things that I liked about it, was how it was tufty in places, and then all of a sudden it would be like this. But of course you don't have to use this James C. Brett's Northern Lights. I just took a shine to it. Northern Lights took a shine to it, sorry about that. But I've got a bit of a yarn bath situation here. So while I'm undoing that, you can use any DK weight yarn with this. Obviously, if you wanted to use a thicker yarn, say a 4 weight Aran, you could, but you just need to make sure that you've got the corresponding sizes of the crochet hook for the foundation chain and to do the actual work. But this is quite a thin DK, and then in places it thickens up just a little bit. But that's part of its charm, I think, for me. I really liked it. But I wanted to show you that so that you're aware of it before you possibly go out and buy it. So thank you. I will pause it again and catch up with you at the end. Okay, so I'm almost at the end. I have my last one to go into. I also like the way this yarn changes colour. So now we are at the end, and we're just going to go into the chain at the side here, that one there. If I can get my hook in it, that is. And do 1 on its own. And that's brought up to the end, so we've got a nice straight edge at the end. And we're going to chain 2. and turn our work. So the good thing about doing it this way as well, you haven't got to kind of judge the whole length of your chain. Plus, working in rows that are that long can be quite off-putting, I'd say. So that's basically all we do until we reach the desired length. But I just want to show you a couple of other colours in the Northern Lights. You don't have to choose the pink. There's this really beautiful purples. I have this and greys. This shade is NL07, but this is just beautiful. I love that colourway. I hate the word colourway, but I said it anyway. Excuse me while I just get this one out. And I also have it in all these different greys and almost black, I would say there. And that colour is NL09. They also have a really, really lovely I have a really, really lovely rainbow one. I haven't managed to get that one yet, but this one is my favourite. So, right, what we've got to do now is just repeat these rows until we've got the length that you require. Now, where did I put my pad? As I said, for me it was 114 rows, and it measured 59 inches altogether, and then that was the right kind of size to go around my shoulders. So I'm going to do another couple of rows with you. And for those of you who know that that's what you're doing now, that's great. But I just want to show you when you get to the end of the row a couple more times, and then I'll pause it until the end. So we've got our 2 chain, and we're just going to go again into each of the V's with our making our pairs. See, this has now become quite tufty at this part of the yarn. I really like the fact that it changes like that. I like the roving quality of it, but I also like the way when it becomes almost cord-like, the way it looks. I don't know, just kind of has this rope-like quality, but it's very, very soft. It's tangling up quite easily for me today, though. That's the only drag, having to undo it quite a bit. I don't know why that should be. Probably the angle that I'm working at, maybe. I don't know. Didn't go through both there. So this is all we do. We are just going to keep going. Hang on. Got to untangle it again. It's just twisting, that's all. So that's it. It wasn't really a tangle. So yes, only got it once in that V, so we've got to do the next one. And into the next one. It's a lovely simple pattern, but it looks really nice, I think. You can see now when I held it like that, you can actually see the V's appearing now, and that it's becomes like a kind of the way a plait looks, if you like, just one inside the other. So yeah, it's this is, believe it or not, as simple as it gets, or as difficult as it gets. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it then, and I'll catch up with you when I get to the end. Okay, so back up to the end again, into my last V. And then if you look, you can see where you want to put your next one. There's the first chain, there's the second chain there. So we're just going to go in and do our single one on its own. Chain 2 and turn, and that's keeping a nice straight edge, and this is how it's shaping up. This is quite pretty. So that is, believe it or not, all there is to it. So I'm just going to leave it with you there and come back to you when you have your length. So it should be around the 114 rows mark, because if you're using a similar size yarn and hook and everything to me, that'll be roughly it. Give or take some if you're smaller or bigger than I am. Also, it's not massively deep, so from your neck right down, mine only wanted it to be a wrap. So with the border, that will take it a little bit more. But obviously, if you wanted to make this as a proper shawl, you could add a few more inches onto this. It's just multiples of 2. So it's simple and very, very easy just to add more to it if you wanted to make a full kind of long shawl. But I really just wanted a shoulder wrap. So I'm going to pause it then, and I will catch up with you once we get right near the end. Okay, so here we are right at the end. So I'm just going to finish off. I've got half of this V. One more V to do. And the last one in the very last stitch. There we go. I've gone in the right place. It's hard to see with that tufty bit of yarn in the way. Yeah, there we go. And it's still there. Now, all I'm going to do now is end off. So I'm going to leave a nice long tail to sew it in. And just do one chain. Cinch it right down and pull it through, and there we are. So that's all of my length now to my wrap done, and this is the end of this tutorial. So as I said before, if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, you'll be informed when part 2 pops up, which will be the border, and that will be very, very soon. So thanks for watching, and until next time, bye bye for now.